The Indian Constitution. What is Constitution? Constitution is a set of rules according to which the government of a country runs. It draws a line between the roles and responsibilities of the central government, the state government, and the local bodies. And it also explains the relations between the government and the citizens. It very clearly defines the power of the government. It takes all the precautions to see that the rights of the citizens are taken care of. Importance of Constitution. A constitution is very important in a democratic form of government, like in India, as the government is formed and it works according to the constitution. Democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The existence of a constitution means that the government will not run according to the individual or a group of powerful people, howsoever powerful they are. Before 15th August 1947, we were under the British rule. But when India became free, a new constitution was framed, and it was adopted on 26 January 1950. After this, India became a republic. The powers of a democratic government and rights of the people, etc., are clearly defined in the Constitution. It is the Constitution only which ensures that the powers are not misused and also safeguards the rights of the citizens. India's Constitution. India has its own constitution. Our constitution came into force on 26 January 1950. This was the beginning of the Indian Republic. Our constitution was prepared after a thorough study of the constitutions of various countries. Many good ideas were borrowed and included in our constitution according to the needs and conditions of the people of our country. That made it one of the best and also one of the lengthiest in the world. Our constitution can be changed according to the need of the time. This is done by a particular procedure known as amendment. Amendments have to be passed by both the houses of the parliament and approved by the president. With the help of the constitutional amendments, new states have been created, new terms have been included in the preamble, and some aspects of the fundamental rights have also been changed. Working of the Constitution. The first meeting of the Constituent Assembly was held on 9th December 1946. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the President of the Constituent Assembly. A committee of 8 members was formed to draft the Constitution, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee. By February 1948, the draft Constitution was ready. Suggestions were invited and necessary changes were made in the original draft. On November 4, 1948, the draft Constitution was presented to the Constituent Assembly, where it was discussed for about a year, and then finally signed by the members of the Constituent Assembly. On November 26, 1949, it was decided to enforce the Constitution on 26 January 1950. After this, for the first time, the elections were held, in which Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister and Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the first President of India. Various items concerning how we shall be governed are set in the form of articles. The schedules are the lists or statements included in the Constitution to give a clear and elaborate meaning to the articles. One can get a glimpse of the same by reading the preamble attached as an introduction to the Constitution of India. The preamble reads, "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation." In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. The preamble has great importance because it declares the form of the provisions along with the main objectives of the Indian Republic. Sovereign. The words, "We the people of India do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution," have their own significance. The preamble of the Constitution of India specifically lays down the sovereignty rests with the people of India. A nation is sovereign when it is free in its internal matters, and there is no foreign interference. The elected representative of the people alone have the power to make laws and impose taxes. The government exercises authority only to the extent it has been authorized by the people. Socialist. The word socialist was added to the preamble later on to lay stress on the resolve of the nation to strive for socialism and economic justice that envisages equitable distribution of national income to all sections of the people. Our Constitution aims at establishing a socialist society. It aims at providing measures through which economic disparity may be reduced. Secular. The word secular was put in the preamble to the Constitution through the 42nd Amendment simply to reaffirm the faith of the nation in making the Indian politics stay above petty religious considerations while showing due respect to all religions. In India, no discrimination is ever made against any individual because of his or her religion. All the people in India, forming different groups, sects, communities, etc., are free to practice, preach, and profess any religion. Everybody is equal before law and enjoys equal rights, no matter to which faith, caste, color, or creed he or she belongs. Democratic. This word democratic denotes that we have chosen democracy as our way of life and we will govern ourselves through democratic institutions. It does not denote merely political democracy, but also social and economic democracy. Universal adult suffrage, or giving the right to vote to every Indian adult, is good, but it would be better if he is provided social and economic democracy as well. Republic. A republic is a nation which has an elected person as the head of the state with no hereditary rights. This is significant because we have all been governed by the elected members indirectly. The Indian president is elected indirectly. He or she is elected by the elected members of the parliament and state legislative assemblies for a fixed period of 5 years. He or she is not a hereditary ruler like the King or Queen of England. Justice. Justice is the quality of treating everybody at par without any privilege or prejudice. It ensures equal opportunities for everyone and gives to every man what is his due. Indians had already suffered much because of the injustice done to them by the imperialist rulers. So, the preamble to the Indian Constitution lays great emphasis on justice. Justice should not be limited, but should be all-pervading, touching the social, economic, and political fields. Liberty. The term liberty means freedom. Freedom of thought, profession, expression, belief, faith, and worship. Every citizen should be free to hold any belief and express his views freely. He can choose any religion and can worship in any way he likes. The preamble to the Indian Constitution laid emphasis on the freedom of belief, faith, and worship in order to ensure the unity of the nation. Equality. There can be no liberty without equality. So the preamble to the Indian Constitution also lays emphasis on equality along with liberty. As such, our Constitution has done away with all inequalities based on sex, race, religion, caste, creed, or color. Now, all are equal before law and enjoy equal opportunities for their advancement. Federation. Our Constitution has provided for a federal form of government. This means that the responsibility of governing our country has been divided into two: the central government and the state governments. The President is the titular head of our country. The Prime Minister heads the government at the center, while the Parliament makes the laws. The Governor is the nominal head at state level, and the Chief Minister heads the government, while the Vidhan Sabha makes the laws at state level. Our country has been divided into 29 states and 7 union territories, including the National Capital Territory of Delhi, for the purpose of administration. The powers and functions of the central and the state governments have been clearly defined. Fraternity. Fraternity means brotherhood. The makers of the Indian Constitution adopted it as the ultimate goal of the Indian Constitution. One may belong to any part of the country, but he is an Indian first and a Punjabi or a Bengali afterwards. Liberty, equality, and fraternity are interrelated. It is only when all citizens are free and bound by a feeling of brotherhood that there can be equality. Similarly, only citizens with equal rights and equal freedom can have a feeling of brotherhood for one another. Need for law. Without laws, no society can ever live peacefully, and no state can ever function smoothly. Law is a command given by a superior authority which must be obeyed. A law is equally applicable to all citizens. The rich and the poor are equal in the eyes of law. We need laws to carry on our work smoothly, for the welfare of all, for developing good habits, and to get maximum out of our resources. Mostly, laws are good because they aim at the welfare of the people. But there are bad laws also. People oppose all such bad laws. So there is always a dissent in case of bad laws, along with acceptance and obedience in the case of good laws. Dissent is the part and parcel of democracy. All democratic states accept the right of the people to express their opinions and views on every action of the government. Dissent should be expressed through peaceful means. Acts of violence should not be resorted to. Laws and dissent. Salt Satyagraha, 1930. Salt Satyagraha was a non-violent protest against the unjust salt law framed by the British government. The salt law stated making salt was the monopoly of the British government and no Indian was allowed to make salt. The civil disobedience movement began with Dandi March, which Gandhiji started from his ashram at Sabarmati to Dandi to make salt with the seawater at Dandi and violated the salt law. At his call, people began to defy laws and hartals, strikes and demonstrations were held all over the country. The people boycotted foreign goods and refused to pay taxes. A great political unrest was created in the country. So, dissent is an important feature of a democratic form of government. Without this, a democratic government can become a dictator. Tolerance for dissent is an important sign of political maturity. The right of each lawmaker to disagree with party bosses follows directly from the right of the people to hold independent opinions, which they express through their representatives. That is why there are opposition parties in every democratic country. Dissent is the right of every opposition party. In order to increase its income, sometimes the government tries to pass certain laws which are not good from the ethical point of view. The liquor law is one of them. The government tries to justify its policy by saying that such a policy would reduce the distilling of illegal liquor, which causes deaths of various persons, including men and women, from time to time. But the opposition parties take the government to task and vehemently oppose the government action, both within the Parliament Assembly and outside it. They take out processions, hold meetings, and even